Hello, my name's Bryden Quirk from Australian Card Kits. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of assembling a model card building, I'm actually going to be showing you how to design one from scratch. This is how I design all of my buildings that I sell on AustralianCardKits.com. The first tool that we use is just a basic graphics package. I like to use Cardbord, but there's no reason why you can't use any of the other packages that are available out there. So first of all, we need to start with the side of the building. The building we're going to draw today is going to be very simple in that it has only bends in the roof along one axis. The buildings that have folds along multiple axes are a little bit more difficult, and I'll show you how to do those in later videos. But to start with, we'll just pick something nice and simple. Maybe a building with a shallow slope roof on one side like this, and a steeper slope roof in another part there. So I'll just get the basic shape of what I'm thinking about down here. So as you can see, it's all a bit wonky and wobbly, but that's okay. We can straighten everything up. Most program tools have little guide rails like this that you can use. That makes it much easier to get everything nice and square and in the right place. Okay, so once we're happy with that side of the building, we can then rescale that to something a little bit more appropriate. Get rid of some of these side rulers. Because our building's got a roof that only bends on one axis, the forward-facing plane of the building is going to be square. There's not going to be any inclines on the roof on the front. Just to keep it simple, we'll make the building symmetrical. Now, the front of the building, because the building's square and symmetrical, the front of the building has to be the same width as the back of the building. So what I'm going to do is just create a copy of this area here and attach that to the back here. Now don't worry about the fact that it goes off the paper for the time being, because this is what we're doing now is we're just creating the basic parameters of the building. Once we've gotten everything exactly how we want it, we can rearrange it so it fits nicely on a piece of A4 card. Alright, so that's the basic shell of the building there. We've got the left side here, the right side there, the front here, and the back there. So now we need to start making it look a little bit more like a building. So what I thought we might do with this building is actually make the front and back brick and the sides weatherboard. So we'll start with our front pane here, and if we'll have a look down at Object Manager, we'll find the properties and we'll go and have a look at the fill values, and we want to put a pattern fill in, and we'll find a pattern fill that suits our needs. CorelDRAW comes with a lot of these included, but as you can imagine, you often want to build up your own collection of fills. What I like to do is when I'm photographing buildings to build, I often take a shot square on of the texture of their brick walls. This can then be imported to use as a fill. But today I think we'll just use a basic brick fill like the one that's included with CorelDRAW here. Now as you can see, that's way too big for the scale of the building. So we'll just go into the Advanced tab and we'll see if we can change that a little bit. Alright, so we're happy with that fill pattern for the front, and we'll use that for the back as well. And I'll say copy fill here, and that's just copy the same patterns with the same attributes, so that should be matching. Next we'll create a fill pattern on the sides of the building. So we'll go through and do the same thing. We'll select a pattern fill, except that I don't think we really want to use any of these sort of standard fills for this one. None of them quite taking my fancy. So what we'll do is we'll do a bitmap fill, and we'll click on load, and that's a slightly weathered weatherboard pattern. So let's pop that on there, and you can see that's way out of kilter there. That's way too small, so we'll just change the size of it a bit. There we go. So we've got some big old-fashioned weatherboards there, and we'll apply that fill there. Alright, so our building now has got brick back and front and weatherboard walls. We need to start thinking about adding some windows and doors and other features. So let's have a look. Okay, so let's start by sizing the back door. I think we'll use this back door here. I'll just shift that in, and if we zoom in, we can see now this particular building is going to have quite a low back wall, and this door here, if you see, has actually got a glass window on top, and we don't really want that. So what we'll do is we'll remove that from the image. We'll just use our delete tool. And we'll just neatly erase the top half there. I'll shrink that down a little. Now we need some back windows. Now the other thing you can do when doing this is you take advantage of using the guide rules. That way you can get the tops of the windows and doors to all line up, which of course is always nice. I'll just duplicate that and put another window in here. Now on the front of the house, we're going to need a front door. So now we've got a front door. We need some windows in the front, and I like these big windows here. Most buildings of course have vents in them to prevent moisture and build up, decay and all that kind of good stuff from getting in. And I found that adding lots of these little details really helps create the illusion of the flat cardboard being textured. I'll pop one up a fair bit higher. I'll pop another one on the other side. I think we'll put the other window down a bit lower on the other side there. Now the other thing that you can choose to do is to put in things like eaves. As I found, all these extra little bits of detail really help with the illusion. So what we'll do is we'll just start by putting some basic lines in here for the eaves, just purely by eye. Now we can choose a colour for the eaves. White's the obvious choice, but I might go with brown. Whether we just keep a black outline on or not is up to you, but I think I'm going to leave the black outline on. Now in the real buildings, whenever you have walls that are timber and brick joining, you'll often have a little bit of capping. That can either be wood or metal or fibro in some cases. So what I'm going to do is just put a little rectangle here, and I'll make that just a light shade there, maybe with slightly, instead of black outlines, just a darker grey outline. And we'll reproduce that. I'll just pop that here as well. and when that's folded, that produces the appearance of there being a square cap around the corner. So now let's see if we can find some more details to put in. We need to see if we can find ourselves some taps and pipes and things. Alright, so let's start with a power receptacle. All buildings until very recently have had their electrical power coming in overhead, and they've all gone into a little insulated doodad that sits up here on the top. So we'll just put the little doodad for this house in, right up there. And that can sit on top of the eaves there. We're going to need some down pipes. Depending on the plumbing, the down pipes can be arranged in all kinds of weird and wonderful ways. I'll just make this one a bit skinnier. Okay, there's a down pipe. Now we were going to change the front door. That's a much nicer looking front door, isn't it? Much nicer. Up there next to the latch. Little light switch. Got another down pipe for the other side. Okay, and I think we just need a tap. Okay, so tap's there. And we'll get our other tap, and we'll just pop that there. One tap. Alright, so we've got most of the walls of the building looking fairly okay. We need to start scoping out the roof line. Okay, now what we want to do is to avoid using too many glue tabs, and to avoid having to make too many joins, we're going to make the roof as one single piece of cardboard that gets folded in several positions. So there's 3 important lengths, or 4 important lengths that we have to know. We need to know the length of each section of the roof here, and we need to know its width. So what I'll start doing now is just making individual line segments of each part of the roof line. Okay, so what we'll do now is I'll rotate those. Now keep in mind, I'm not resizing them, I'm just rotating them, and I'm not changing their aspect ratios. So what that does is that preserves the length. Now we need to know the width, and the width is going to be the distance between here and here. Alright, so we can rotate that about 90 degrees. And because we've got those lines already marked out, we know that each section here will be the correct dimensions. Now one little trick I've found is often the buildings will end up looking slightly better if there's ever such a slight overhang over the edges here. So what I'll do is actually grab this whole roof area, I'll just make it ever so slightly wider, ever so slightly. Copy the fill here. Copy the fill here. Now roofs have capping on them as well. You'll normally never see a plain old corrugated roof without any capping on it. So we'll put some capping in. We'll just shift this roof over there. We'll just line that up there. There we have it. Our very first simple card building kit.